On today's show, is Bradley Beal going to get traded? Are the Wizards in a rebuild? Where does Zion Williamson go? To the Hornets? To the Rockets? Talk about all that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are locked on to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Be an everydayer. Subscribe and follow for free. Just search Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. Where do you think Bradley Beal goes? Which team do you think is the best landing spot for Bradley Beal? And we'll talk about that. But joining me, as always, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat, the designer?
Find you a girl that tweets about you as much as Mariah Mills tweets about Zion.
And stay with her. And pray to God you never hurt her. Oh, my. What? Okay, so we did that story last week on Locked On NBA, you and me, right? We did count it up.
Still tweeting.
We did still tweeting. Like, literally, there were tweets today. She said, I'm done. I don't think so. I don't think you're done. I think you're still done.
I think you've got more to go.
Oh, man. Today's show, though, we'll get into some Count It Up, where we talk about the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. We'll talk about Karl-Anthony Towns changing the game, Pat. I don't think so. We'll talk about John Morant.
I'm just squinting for everybody who's like.
John Morant suspension coming. Then we'll also talk about Zion Williamson. Some reports from our own Rafael Barlow about Zion Williamson with the Hornets, the Rockets. Which team should go for him? Which team should the Pelicans trade him to? But first, let's start with this. The report today is that the Wizards and Bradley Beal are in talks to come to an agreement on some kind of trade. The Wizards rebuilt their front office, got a bunch of really good guys to be able to rebuild that front office from across the league. And now it looks like they're looking into a rebuild. Bradley Beal, by the way, is the only player in the NBA with a no-trade clause, so he has to work together with the team. So this is significant for him to say, hey, I'll work together with you to, make some kind of trade happen. He has been like a Damian Lillard type with this Wizards team, where every year it seems like, is Bradley Beal going to get traded? And every year he doesn't end up getting traded at all. He has this massive contract. It's a very weird situation for him. He played 82 games in the 17-18 and 18-19 season, like all 82 games. The two shortened season, he played most of the games, but the last 2 years, he's played 40 games and 50 games. He hasn't been that same 30-point-per-game scorer. Like, most of scoring in the NBA has been up the last 2 years. Bradley Beal has been down. It's been a weird kind of ride for him. Pat, what's your take? What's your thought on Bradley Beal, where he is, and is he still like that all-NBA, all-star type player anymore?
Well, I think the tough part is when you look at Brad Beal's game, right? He's still an amazing scorer. He still can get to the bucket whenever he wants to and get through at will. He's tried to adjust his game a little bit to some of the people who have come on his team, right? Kyle Kuzma becoming more of a scorer in his time in Washington, and Kristaps Porzingis trying to adjust to that. And then he just hasn't been healthy enough to really get himself into a consistent rhythm. And I think that's why a lot of teams, right? Like, everybody's sitting here throwing their hat in the ring for this to get a trade done, except are they really? Because there's got to be some concern on the team receiving this guy. Like, yeah, Bradley Beal's an amazing player when he's on the court, but your best ability is availability. And Bradley Beal struggled to do that, the last 3 years, pretty much? I mean, he's played
just 2 years.
Last 2 years, yeah.
Shortened seasons.
Yep, shortened seasons. But you look at the last 2 years, you're talking about 90 games over 2 years. That's yes, I would love to have Brad Beal on any team that I have, but you do have to ask those questions, especially when you're sending assets back. And I think the biggest question is, what does a trade for Bradley Beal look like?
We're now in a spot in the NBA too, where he's also got this massive contract where a lot of talk has been said on, from us and from others about this new salary cap, this new apron that's coming in the new CBA. And you look at players and you say, okay, if this guy is going to be 33%, 34%, 35% is the max contract. If he's going to be 35% of our salary cap, which Bradley Beal is. He's 34.9% of the $134 million salary cap next year.
Just under.
Making $46.7 million. If he's going to be that, and he's not a top 10 player, like, how many players do we name in the NBA before we get to Bradley Beal? It's like 25, 20. Like top
Probably.
25, top 25 player, top 30 player is great. Like he's a great player. He can do some really great things. I think a change of scenery can be really good for him. We've seen players like Rui Hachimura, Spencer Dinwiddie. We've seen other players leave Washington and get significantly better and have a better situation. But with Bradley Beal, it's just tough for teams to now with this new salary cap, this new CBA, to trade for a player that's making 35% of your cap and him not be a top 20, top 25 player. It's just too hard right now.
Yeah, and I think, you also have to look at how am I going to build around this guy? What am I going to put with this guy? What am I sending back? Is that gutting the team? Right? There's so many question marks, especially with this new CBA coming up. And I think that shortens the list of teams that might realistically be in on him, right? We're not hearing, right? Like if this is 2 years ago before we're even hearing talks about the CBA, the Lakers are trying to make a call. That, right, the Phoenix Suns are probably trying to make a call. Let's just max out on everything that we can, put as much money into this as we can, and hope we can go get a championship out of it. But now teams are moving with a lot more caution. You're not hearing even some of the smaller market teams. Like you're hearing the teams that are bottomed out being the teams rumored, right? I believe Houston was one of the teams that might be interested in Bradley Beal. It's like, well, of course Houston might be interested. There's nothing there to be interested
Houston
in.
Is like, are you a guard that's averaged 20 points per game in the NBA? We could have a spot for you. We've got $60 million in salary cap. We don't know what to do with it. They've been after everybody.
I love that all of them are also just like, if we don't get James Harden. It's like, wait a minute.
Well, there's
how much of a Harden does have?
There's a hierarchy there. First come, first served on that one.
You know what I mean?
He's probably still got a place there, if you know what I mean.
In the stadium. Yeah.
He's got a mortgage and he's got a table reserved.
Hey, listen, there are a lot of workers who were sad to see James Harden go.
The economy will be boosted if James Harden makes his way. This is probably like an internal city chamber of commerce discussion that they're trying to get James Harden.
So we know that the dollar bill is down right now, but if Harden comes back to Houston, I mean, we're talking about rocketing through the roof.
If an area needs an influx of actual paper money, then goodness. With Bradley Beal though, do you have any idea of any landing spots that you start thinking of? The first one I thought of was the Sixers, because we know there's a connection between Beal and Joel Embiid. The problem is if you start trying to put together a trade package, I know that I think it was Windhorst or somebody that said you're going to be surprised how low Bradley Beal's trade value is, because his contract is pretty ridiculous. $46.7 million, $50 million the year after that, $53 million, and then a $57 million player option that is a hilarious player option. Like 57, who's turning down $57 million? But to me, Tobias Harris is the name. They got to put it in it just for the contract. And Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey together makes it happen. I don't think if you're the Sixers, you want to trade Maxey for Bradley Beal, because Maxey might be as good as Bradley Beal in a year or two. You could do Melton as well instead of Maxey, but what do you think about this Tobias and Maxey for Brad Beal?
I think that's it. Here's the situation that I'm looking at now. Why would the Wizards want to get those players back?
Oh, they would want Maxey.
Maxey for sure, but I think, right, like when you start to look at some of the teams that are out there, there's probably better value in going full rebuild than just going with, okay, let's restart this with a young player. You might be able to get some draft capital out of some of these teams, somebody who's just going for it, right? Like I could see a Miami Heat throwing their name in the ring. I could see
the 18th pick.
You know what I mean? Like it's something where, okay, yeah, we're just a couple of pieces away. We would love to go get Dame, but Dame is going to cost one of these guys that we really want to hold on to. And I think, as insane as it may sound, I could see the Knicks trying to get just that one extra piece. Just that one extra piece.
We wouldn't take Donovan Mitchell. We'll take Brad Beal, though. The Heat one. The Heat is just Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and the 18th pick for Brad Beal. Right?
Yeah. And you saw
that gets it done.
I think the thing with that is, right, you saw what this team can do without Tyler Hero, and basically Duncan Robinson got hot a couple of games throughout the playoffs. Absolutely was a help for them.
But pick and roll stuff was actually really good.
He brought himself back. Like that was a tough one to watch, because I was like, so did Spo just get this one wrong? Like this dude clearly can still play. Maybe you got to work something in for him there. I don't know, but I could see the Heat being a very likely destination if you don't want to go all in on bringing in Dame Lillard. Maybe you want somebody younger that when Jimmy Butler maybe does retire, you still got that piece down there that you can build around. Outside of that, I mean, I guess the Lakers are probably going to call, right? But I don't see that one getting done.
Oh my gosh, they have to call about everybody? Is that like a thing they have to? They just don't have any salaries to do that. Is the D'Angelo Russell sign and trade type thing? Does that work for them?
Here's my question to you:
D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and what do they have? 17?
Yeah, that's still gross. Here's my question to you: does Boston try to run this back, maybe without one of the two, and instead bring in Brad Beal?
Yeah, if you do that sense of it, if you do like a Jaylen Brown for Brad Beal, then all of a sudden like the Wizards are sending stuff at the beginning of a rebuild. Then they're sending stuff to the Celtics on that side of it. We'll probably talk about the Mavs doing something. Luka, Kyrie, Brad Beal. We'll talk about that on Locked On Mavs. I don't see that as a great threesome, but we'll talk about it. It's out there. But coming up, we'll also talk about Zion Williamson. Could the Pelicans want to trade him? Jake Madison's Locked On Pelicans.
I'm sorry. I messed up your transition there. Keep going, please.
Jake Madison was spitting in the wind the other day and was talking about how the new owner may want to trade Zion after all of this drama and stuff. And now there's actual rumors about it. We'll talk about that and more coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Game Time. Game Time is the app that helps you get into the game, gets you into the event, gets you into the place that you want to go to with tickets. They have the tickets for you. You can go and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All kinds of fun stuff. I live in the DFW area in Dallas. They've got a Dave Chappelle show at the American Airlines Center. Post Malone is coming in August. They've got lots of Texas Rangers games on here. They have lots of other events that I don't know anything about. You can go see. You probably know more about them listening than I do. There's like Bored Teachers. Is that a band? I don't know what that is.
Why do you assume I know it?
I'm asking because you're the only other human that can answer me right now. All kinds of other events on Game Time. You can go see it in your area. And again, use that promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase at Game Time. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being part of this show and helping support the channel. We are one of now the only outlets in the world that does dedicated your team everyday content on every single team in the NBA, the NFL, I almost said the MLB. I can't do that. MLB people get mad. NHL, as well as a ton of college teams. I think 60 or more college teams as well. So click the link in the description, the Chartable link, if you want to find this show that covers the team that you love. All right, Pat, let's get into this next story. Our own Rafael Barlow dropped some news recently about Zion Williamson. We've known that the Pelicans may want to look at trading him. If you've listened to Locked On Pelicans, if you listen to Jake Madison, and you know that they are thinking about possibly trading him. But Rafael Barlow dropped in his column on NBA Big Board. He said he's been told that the Zion Williamson might be the player the Pelicans offered to Charlotte for the number 2 pick in order to draft Scoot Henderson. What are your thoughts on, let's just do the Pelicans side, a Zion Williamson for Scoot Henderson trade?
I would.
That sigh had so much in it.
I just, there's so many question marks from the other side, I guess, right? Like, there's that part of desperation. Like, do you feel like you're desperate enough to test out the Zion Williamson waters? But I mean, what have we really seen from Zion Williamson that says that this guy's worth a Scoot Henderson level pick? Whether it's Scoot Henderson or not, whether he's worth that pick.
He's only just a 2-time All-Star.
That can't stay on the basketball court.
But yeah, as soon as he does, though, he's an all-star. Like, we've seen it.
Listen, Greg Oden was a pretty good center when he was on the court. That doesn't mean that he played. You know what I mean? Like, it's yes, when Zion Williamson is on the court, he's one of the best basketball players in the league. His percentages are amazing. He's pretty unstoppable. I love all of that. The reason that Mariah Mills is tweeting is because, well, not really, but it's because Zion Williamson's on the court, not on the court, but he's with her. You know what I mean? Like I'm just
the reason she's tweeting is he's not with her.
Well, you know, he was. I mean, she's trying to get that knee back right. But anyway, I see I see kind of why teams might show interest in it, but do you have enough faith at all that Zion Williamson is going to be on the court and be able to stay on the court when at a minimum, right, I can pretty much restart my franchise around one of these top 2 to 3 guys.
So if you're the Hornets, you say no. They say straight up Zion Williamson for the number 2 pick. We're going to take Scoot Henderson. You're going to take Brandon Miller. So you'd rather have Brandon Miller than you'd rather have Zion Williamson if you're the Hornets.
I feel like Brandon Miller is going to stay on the court, so I would rather have the guy that can play basketball.
Yeah, but is he going to stay on the court and be anywhere near what Zion is going to be?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's a lot harder for Zion to be anywhere near what Zion's going to be on the sidelines.
We've seen this, though. We've seen in the NBA. We've seen Joel Embiid. We've seen Steph Curry even miss a bunch of games early in their career, get in the program in the NBA. They a medical team figures out some kind of workout or some kind of thing, some kind of system that helps them work, some kind of load management, some kind of, I think with Steph Curry, it was like his hips they had to work out a lot to help his ankles. Like it was all kind of kinesiology and like connected. So we've seen this before where a guy misses a bunch of games early in his career and then comes back and plays. Now, do I believe in Zion Williamson to be that person, to do all that work to get back? I don't know, but I know that he's an incredible basketball player. If I'm the Hornets, though, I take Scoot Henderson because I think Scoot Henderson's going to be that good. The rumors are not that they're going to do that. They're going to take Brandon Miller, so that's where they are with that. The other story that was reported by Raphael was that the Rockets hold the number 4 pick in the draft and are already one of the youngest teams in the league and are potentially interested in moving the pick for a win-now player or players. He said, quote, "In my conversations, the name Zion Williamson has come up as a potential trade target for Houston. It's unclear whether there is a deal to be made or not. At first glance, it sounded a bit absurd to me that the Pelicans would give up on Zion Williamson already. But would you do the 4th pick for Zion Williamson if you're the Rockets? That doesn't seem like as big of a risk."
If I'm the Rockets, I think the Rockets are just looking for any kind of answers, right? And you've got your new head coach down there in Ime Udoka, somebody that you're hoping to work with. I think the question is, right, is James Harden also returning? Because do we want that pairing of Zion Williamson and James Harden going out to keep the economy afloat out there? I don't know if we want to do that. But honestly, if I'm the Houston Rockets, I would be fine with going at Zion because it does seem like the weird part about the Rockets is it does seem like they don't have a belief in any of the players that they have because they're looking at everybody else's players that are available, trying to bring those guys in. I don't get the Rockets. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've said this on multiple platforms. To me, Alfred Sengun has some of the best back to the basket footwork that you have in the NBA right now.
This is your every Rocket story take,
right? And they don't want to use them, right? And even how Jalen Green has been used in the NBA, they're basically just like, hey man, just go hoop. It's like, is there a system that's being ran? Nah, just go hoop. So I think that to me with the Rockets, try and reset this thing. If you want to go all in and go get a Zion Williamson, that's fine. You know what I mean? Because you're not gaining that much anyway. Either you get him on the court and he's amazing, or you don't get him on the court and you're the same Rockets team that you were the year before, and you'll be right back at the top of the draft.
If the Rockets do this, and I think they should, right? You got to take that risk. If you can get a Zion, you don't have anybody on your roster that's as good or can be even as good as Zion. Yeah. Maybe Sengun can get there, but it doesn't look like they're invested enough in him. Maybe Ime Udoka does, but you have to do this. The other thing is, if they do this, they just become the Pelicans in a like a bizarre way, because then they're built around Zion. They have like a couple other ancillary players around him that are still growing, like a Brandon Ingram, like some of the other players that are Herb Jones, like a Trey Murphy. Like they all of a sudden shift and become that team right now where they could be really good if everything's good. I mean, the Pelicans were the number 1 team in the West for a second there last season when Zion was healthy. Like they were cooking at a certain point. But and the Rockets could too. But it's kind of, you're taking a big risk there at that point. But I think the Rockets should do it. But should the Pelicans do it? Should the Pelicans take the 4th pick? Because who are you getting with the 4th pick? Because at that point, you're not looking at Scoot Henderson. You're not looking at Brandon Miller. You're getting a Thompson twin. You're getting Cam Whitmore, a Jarris Walker. Like I don't think you're that interested in any of those guys at that point.
Yeah, no, I think if you're the Pelicans, here's the thing about the tough part about the Pelicans, and I think that a lot of people forget, Zion Williamson's 22. So you're literally saying, I'm giving up on a 22-year-old. There is the scenario that you put in place where a lot of players have been able to get this together and come back and be able to turn themselves into a perennial all-star, perennial superstar kind of player. the biggest fear I think on the Pelican side is we're New Orleans and the food down here is really good, and Zion just seems to be too heavy to stay on the court. And these injuries clearly have been caused by him having too much weight on his knees, ankles, and anything on the lower parts of his body. So to me, yeah, you relax there, bud. I was being good that time. you relax.
You open it up to anything. You said anything.
I was not speaking on
Zion Williamson and porn star.
I was not speaking on that. You leave it alone. No, but I just if I'm the Pelicans, I think that you have to take a long look at this. I think top 3 is probably your best case scenario. Outside of the top 3, you got to feel like you're finding a gem to move on from a guy like Zion.
Coming up, let's talk about Karl-Anthony Towns changing the game. Has Karl-Anthony Towns changed the game? He sure thinks so. We'll talk about that in
Count it up.
Coming up. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Again, we have a 5-day-a-week daily show on your favorite team. I host the Locked On Mavericks show. Hayes and Pat host the Locked On Bulls show. We don't always host it in matching maroon shirts, but that's what we're wearing today. We're matching.
So, but you know what this is? This is called "It Was Clean and Near Me."
I'll tell you what. I don't even know if this shirt was clean, but it was near me.
Concerning. You were shirtless when I got in here. I was concerned.
I was wearing bird dogs without underwear.
Whoa!
Coming up though, let's talk about Count It Up.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it.
Karl-Anthony Towns went on Patrick Beverley's pod, the Pat Bev pod, to talk about himself and various things. They went for like an hour and a half. And in that hour and a half, he was asked about, hey, how do you see yourself around the league with other bigs? Like, how do you view yourself? I really wanted to know what the question was for this because it is a wild statement that he said. He said, quote, "When my time is up and I retire, I really think there will be people that say I changed the game."
Count it up.
What game has Karl-Anthony Towns changed and how?
Fortnite, wasn't he in that? Wasn't he a character in Fortnite?
Is he the first streamer NBA player? I think he's not the most famous one because we had a story about Luka. We've had a story about a bunch of other players.
Yeah, I don't know if Kat maybe just doesn't remember, but if Nick like slides 2 inches to the left, there's this guy sitting behind him who basically did everything that Kat does, but like won basketball games while doing it. So I don't know what game he thinks he's changed. Like, is he the first? I will say this, percentage-wise, I believe he is one of the best shooting bigs of all time.
Good for him.
But like there's been shooting bigs before you. What did you change about it? Oh, they also won games, by the way. Like there's a lot of shooting bigs that also won basketball games, won playoff series. You know what I mean? I'm trying to really figure this one out.
Towns has been through a lot in his life, and we'll leave there. On the basketball court and as a basketball player, you are not Dirk Nowitzki. As much as you want to be, you are not. You did not do the things that Dirk Nowitzki did. You did not lead a team to 60 wins, to 67 wins, to do the things that Dirk did. You were not one of the first 7-footers to start shooting the basketball, to create a shot or to patent a shot yourself that now there is a statue outside of the American Airlines Center in Dallas where you are shooting. There is not a shot that is called, oh man, that's the cat shot. Nobody's doing that at this point. You have not played in enough playoff games for there to be considered a shot that was made for you or for you to have changed any games. I don't know that you've been on the court long enough to change the game at this point. He's played 500 games. I don't know that that's enough to change the game at this point. And in 500 games, he's played 16 playoff games. It's not enough. Never been out of the first round. That's not enough for you to have changed the game. You did not either. If he did change the game, it was the wrong way.
What? Yeah, he's the one that set Zion Williamson down. Don't worry about it.
But no,
what year was he drafted?
No,
was he 18?
He's a great shooting big man. Like good for him. He was drafted in 2015 with Porzingis and Jahlil Okafor, and that's a big that did not change the game.
So here's his records just being in the league: 29-53, 31-51, 47-35, 36-46, 19-45, 23-49, 46-36, 42-40. How about you get more winning seasons than losing seasons before you start changing games?
Do the kids still say you're not him?
Yeah.
Karl-Anthony Towns, you are not him.
You are not him. You are not him. And here's the tough part. Is he the answer on any team?
No, Allen Iverson was the answer. He's not even that.
He's a nice piece, but like even when I look at the Bulls, I'm like, I don't know if he answers anything, but he'd be cool to have, I guess. Like he'd be good for content. Like
change the game. What did he like? What part of the game do you think he would have even thought that he changed? Like, oh, every big has to be able to shoot now. That's not even true. Bam doesn't shoot threes, and he just went to the finals.
I think that was my biggest question after this. I was like, which part of the game?
Yeah, like even if we were gonna buy into like his delusion, what would we even?
What is he great at though?
He is a great shooter. Like he's 40% from three for his whole career basically.
What are those playoff numbers?
No, they're not. That's what we said. He's played 16 playoff games.
No. It's in those 16 playoff games. What is his shooting percentage?
33%. 33% from three.
Like he's not good when the pressure's on. What did you change? What are you, a regular season change?
I got it. You ready?
Here we go. Let's do it.
I'm Karl-Anthony Towns, and I changed the game and opened it up for players that don't produce in the playoffs to get paid massive money.
He might have changed the game on that. I'm not gonna lie to you. That might be game changing
because he, like Beal, when we talked about it at the top, he's also making like 35% of the salary cap soon. Like he's gonna be making $50 million soon, and his playoff numbers have not matched what a $50 million player should be.
Is he gonna be one of those players? Because we talked about this too, right? Like there's gonna be players who are gonna like be upset and gonna have to take a pay cut, or just go to a team that sucks.
Well, his contract is too long for him to take a pay cut now.
Well, how many years do he have left? When did he re-up?
It's coming soon.
He's got what, 2 years left? Right?
No, 1 year. 1 year left. He's making $36 million next year, and then it jumps to 50.
Oh, that's right. Oh, he just re-upped. Oh yeah, Timberwolves, y'all are bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
Listen to Locked On NBA and watch Locked On NBA on YouTube to see Pat the Designer's live reaction to him realizing the Timberwolves are screwed in 2 years.
No, because you know how Sports Trek does it, right? So it's like the end, and I knew he signed, but I didn't see it. So I was like, he's out of his contract.
You got to click
scroll down. It's like, oh,
you got to click multi-year summary on SpoTrack.
Oh no.
Adam Silver spoke to the media before the finals and hinted at the fact that there is a Ja Morant suspension coming. And he said, I'm not going to do it till after the finals. Last time I checked, it was after the finals. The Nuggets did win the finals.
They did, yes.
The Nuggets did win the finals. My board is stuck.
Count it up.
When will the suspension get announced and how long will it be?
Probably right after the parade. I've said this couple of times. I don't know if I've said it on here because we really haven't talked about Ja because of the finals. But I think he's probably going to be sitting down for a year. I think there's going to be
a year.
I think they're going to make an example out of Ja Morant because here's the thing. Two things. One, you sat down with the commissioner and basically lied to his face. And there's some respect as men that if I write like, in all reality, Nick is my boss. If I sit in front of Nick and say, Nick, I'll never do this again, and like a month and a half later I do it again, guess what? I'm probably not going to be working here anymore. They're not going to take that drastic of a measure with it, but I do think they're going to sit him down for a long time because you have to let guys know, I love what you do. I love how you play. I love everything you can do on the court, but you are not bigger than this league. And everything that you've done wrong has been a stain on the NBA this season. And this is all basically just this season.
Yeah, like, there's some stuff that was like 2 summers ago. The mall incident, the incident with the 17-year-old kid on the playground. Like that was a playground. I say it like it was a jungle gym, like on the court. I think it's definitely coming on Friday. It's gonna be a Friday news dump this week because, like you said, the Denver Nuggets parade is on Thursday. So yeah. I definitely think it's coming on Friday. That's my gauge on it. I think it's going to be like 20, 30 games because all the Adam Silver suspensions we've seen, when they come out, we go, wait, that was it? Like they've been a lot lower than people think. And I don't think they're going to throw the whole book at him because if you look at the most recent incident, like, was he breaking a law? Like, there's a certain point where, okay, he was breaking the law and doing something bad, like the incident in the strip club where he had the gun, he was on IG Live. But then he just has a gun in a car, which is against what Adam Silver and him talked about, which is like, hey, be an example. We don't want this. This is not what we want our league to be about. Those kind of things. Like, that's one thing. But he was breaking the law in the other one, and he only got sent away from the team then. So to me, it's not going to be this whole year type suspension. This is not a Miles Bridges situation, right? Like, it's not that. But
I think that's the reason why, though, right? Like, we gave you, like, this was something real, and
which was
we basically the first situation in the strip club, right?
Yeah,
this was something
that was real.
Like, this could have been something real. Like, they were talking about, like, we might actually have to, like, go find this guy and arrest him and all of that. And then this is something that's not as real, but clearly you didn't learn your lesson from the,
like, if another player did
got
what
you taken away.
Yeah, like if another player did what Ja did recently, like, just his friend caught him on IG with a gun again. Like, does any player face like that long of a suspension? I don't think so.
I think here the tough part about it is, right, like, for me, I think that suspensions need precedent, and I don't think that any sport actually does it that way. Like, I think there needs to be a, like, hey, we watched this guy do it, this is what's going to happen to you. But with Ja's situation, I think there was just too much that's happened in this year. Adam Silver had the personal sit down with him. I think that this is going to be a bring the hammer type of suspension, because to me, right, like, there is you're not learning your lesson. We need you to understand that basketball, absolutely, this level of basketball is a privilege, and it can absolutely be taken away from you.
Last one. The Denver Nuggets parade is Thursday.
Count it up.
How long will Jokic be there? Over under the entire time? Are we taking he will be there the entire time, or he won't be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Will Jokic make it to the end of the parade where the speeches happen?
Jokic will be the second speech, and he won't be on the stage after that.
Say he'll be gone.
He will be because what is it? It's usually the owner. He'll be the third speech. It's usually the owner, the coach, and then the star player. He'll be the third speech, and then he'll be gone. Like, the plane will be parked behind the stage.
Will the plane be pulled by horses down the runway?
I just love the excitement in Jokic when he's doing the post-championship interview, and he's literally just like, I put the pressure on the owner to give me the jet. Yes, I did. I was like, this is the greatest. Like, he's so excited about this.
Kroenke, give me the jet. Give me the jet, Kroenke. Last one. Who will be shirtless the longest of the Nuggets?
Ooh, KCP.
KCP.
Aaron Gordon, maybe.
Aaron Gordon was rumored and reported to be shirtless walking the streets of Denver after they won the title. So to me, Aaron Gordon may be shirtless.
I might be on Aaron Gordon more because, like, he was shirtless, like, on the court. Like, he's a big shirtless guy, which I'm not mad at. I'm like, listen, if I was in better shape, I'd be shirtless on this pod right now. You know what I mean?
Pause.
Zion Williamson.
Oh, different story.
Oh, I thought we were talking about something else.
Go check out the ultimate mock draft. It is posted on the Locked On NBA feed. Also, the Locked On NBA big board feed will be posted tomorrow morning, or today morning, I guess, on Thursday. If you're listening to this, it also will be posted. It'll be posted. Today morning is a real thing.
Today morning.
It'll also be posted to the individual feed of the show that you listen to. So if you listen to Locked On Mavs, you'll find the 10th pick episode on the Locked On Mavs feed, all that kind of stuff. So go check it out. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.
Bye-bye.
Boom.